Welcome back. This is a special live broadcast as we count down to the lockdown. Just before we went on the break, we're speaking to Julian Pillay, who's at Mary Fitzgerald Square, where the men in blue, the men in orange, and the SANDF members are getting ready to deploy. In fact, any moment now, they're going to leave to those 3 hotspot areas. We spoke about Alexandra, high-density area. We spoke about Johannesburg CBD and Hillbrow.
So certainly, and we will be following Julian Pillay as we cross over into the lockdown, day number 1 of the lockdown, starting right at midnight in about 33 minutes. Big question is, are you ready? But also, during the next few minutes, what we'll do as well is try to speak to experts about what you should know about the rules of engagement when it comes to the SANDF, as it's been emphasized before, that the SANDF is not really trained in crowd control. The police are trained in crowd control. However, though, the Minister, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, even yesterday emphasizing that the soldiers are trained around human rights, and that's the reason why they've been celebrated so much across the continent as one of the best military forces that this continent has.
You know, the first case of coronavirus in South Africa was discovered on the 5th of March, and fast forward to 21 days later, we're now sitting at 927 infections. You know, as in about 32 minutes time, we'll start the official lockdown for the next 21 days. So there's that a bit of a significance in the figure 21. But as Nelson Mandela said the other day, that if you climb a mountain, you realize that there's plenty other mountains that you have to climb. In as much as South African authorities seem to be on course in containment measures through this lockdown, well, we're still overburdened with the, you know, poor sanitations in some communications, the poverty levels, which are absolutely diabolical in some nations, I mean, in some communities, and the authorities will have their hands full. And we do get information that, you know, they'll be concentrated in those areas which are densely populated. And Human Settlements Minister Lindiwe Sisulu did indicate that they will be sharing their plan with how to counter that. So
as we count down, let's reflect back. President Cyril Ramaphosa earlier giving soldiers their marching orders hours ahead of the nationwide lockdown.
But he told the army not to violate the rights of South Africans under the 21-day lockdown.
And the president also encouraged South Africans to adhere to regulations.
On! Get on! Put on! Ready to the senior address. President said, your address.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, just hours before the country's 21-day lockdown, giving his final marching orders.
As the pride of our nation, the soldiers of the Republic of South Africa, to go out and defend our people against this virus. Your mission is mission save lives. You are required to go out and save the lives of the 57 million South Africans who live within the borders of our country. A lot rests on your shoulders. As the soldiers of our country, you took an oath that you will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa, and that you will defend the people of South Africa, and that you will subscribe to the highest values that are inscribed in our Constitution.
But as stern words for the army as it prepares to deal with South Africans.
This is not a moment for scop and donor. This is not a moment for skeet and donor. This is a moment to be supportive to our people. When they see you patrol with your guns, they will be fearful, but make sure that when they see you, they see kindness of the state of South Africa.
The South African National Defence Force will support the South African Police Service during the lockdown to enforce restrictions.
Tonight you begin the most important mission of your calling as soldiers, to give life to the people of South Africa, and it is for that reason that I say your mission is to restore the lives of the people of South Africa. That is what you are called upon to do. You are called upon to go out and support our police, work with them, walk amongst our people, and defend them against this virus. You are required to do so in the most understanding way, in the most respectful way, in the most supportive way. The people of our country will be looking upon you as their defenders.
SABC News, Johannesburg.
So what are the rules of engagement now that the SANDF will be on our streets? And as the President has said in that address as well, that it is unprecedented. Let's speak to Helmoed Heitman, who is a military and security expert. Good evening and welcome to the special broadcast. Starting off from what the President said earlier on, saying that skeet and donor does not apply in this particular mission. What are the rights of the citizens that they should know of when they engage with these soldiers on the streets?
Essentially, the citizen has the same right here as right throughout anything short of a state of emergency. The issue is that all of us have to obey the basic regulations of not travelling where we shouldn't and not mixing, and that the military can enforce, but they can enforce it as gently as possible. You'll get some people, no doubt, who will be difficult about it, and then they are going to find themselves facing a problem, whether it's a soldier or policeman. But essentially, it's going to be a case of if you treat them decently, they will treat you decently. That's pretty common, I think, worldwide with law enforcement of any shape, size or form. So it's a case here of you've got your rights are now limited for the next 3 weeks. You can't just wander anywhere in the country. And that's a fact. But your right to not be offended, to not be insulted, to not be manhandled, to not be injured by an agent of the state, that remains. That has not changed. You've got all your normal rights.
Sure. The President also there speaking about that there will be those who try to test the might of the state and also test or challenge the President himself by challenging these military officers as well as the police officers who will be deployed. But what happens in a case of provocation, for instance, where a military officer feels that they're being provoked by a citizen on the street? What is it that they can do to try and quell the tension to make sure that it doesn't escalate?
I mean, the first thing would be to try to talk that person down, calm them down, talk them down, get them to go home. Failing that, they've got powers of arrest. I mean, they can't arrest and lock up. They've got to arrest and take to the police. But they can arrest you. They can take you to a police station where then you'd be charged and booked and probably put in the cells for a while until such time as you get a lawyer or you get a court hearing. And then the normal approach would be to first try and talk somebody down. And if that doesn't work, if somebody simply refuses, then it would be a case of arresting. And then it's the usual problem that if you try to arrest somebody without hurting them, it looks nasty because two or three policemen or 2 or 3 soldiers get involved in it. It all looks terribly unfair. But that, in fact, is the way to do it if you're trying not to hurt someone. And you'll see that if you look at video footage of any other country. Although there's one clip running around from, I think it is Italy, where a gentleman declined to go back indoors and was put down rather briskly by the police. So I think it's a case there that there will be people who will try their luck. There are always some idiots around the place. And they will either be clever and allow themselves to be talked down and sent back home, or they're going to wind up getting arrested. And if they put up a fight, they're going to come up short.
What about the use of force? Because as the President is saying in that speech as well, that you will be patrolling the streets with your guns. But as you patrol these streets, South Africans need to be proud of you after the end of this particular lockdown. What about the use of force, and when is force applicable to be used?
Look, lethal force would only be usable if the soldier, or for that matter the police officer, has to defend him or herself or defend somebody else against a serious attack. They would not use their rifle if somebody is just making a pain of himself. They would if somebody comes out with a meat cleaver and goes for a soldier or is attacking a civilian, then yes, then they can use lethal force. But otherwise it would be a case of restraining people. And it's more a policing thing. The army are there in the background for if things get a little difficult, and also just to add numbers. So I think the first line will normally, the first point of contact would normally be a police officer.
Sure. And when there is an arrest that is affected, we understand, for instance, that the military won't be able to do any investigations, but we know that the military also has their own police, so the military police wouldn't get involved around the investigations of cases where people are being arrested by those who have been deployed on the streets.
Now, that would fall back to the SA police. The military police would really only get involved if somebody actually attacked a member of the military, then they would have to become involved as well. But normally their focus is on policing the military itself. And in wartime, they deal with prisoners of war, refugees and the like. In a situation like this, the military policeman is just another soldier. What he does have is policing powers via the other soldiers. But normally there is no policing nature to the soldier. They can arrest. It's a step up from a citizen's arrest, really.
Sure.
They have to take you to a police station or hand you over to a policeman on site, then process the matter in the normal way.
What about, we know that, for instance, that this deployment is to try and contain the spread of the virus and try to get people to adhere to the orders that have been put in place. What happens if these military officers come across a crime that's being committed that is not related to the containment of the spread of the coronavirus?
Then essentially they're in the same position as a citizen. They can make a citizen's arrest if they see a Schedule 1 offence, for instance, taking place. And given in this particular circumstance, they effectively have policing powers. They'd almost be required to act. But I think in any event, they would in any event, if it's a serious crime being committed, they would in any event react. It would then effectively be a citizen's arrest. Arrest the man, call a police officer to come and deal with the matter.
Okay.
So they're not going to just stand by and watch somebody steal a car or beat somebody up or anything like that. They would act.
Just in closing, any advice that you'd like to give South Africans in terms of what it is that they should be aware of during this 21-day period? And of course, as the President has said as well, that this is unprecedented, that we have soldiers being deployed to try and assist the government in making sure that rules as well as regulations that are there are being adhered to.
Look, I think what we all need to bear in mind is that the soldier or policeman that you encounter on the street is just like you and me. He also has a family. He's also got friends. He may be worried. He's doing long shifts. He's probably tired. He's had to deal with some ratty people who are idiots who are trying to get around things. So bottom line is treat them decently, be nice to them, be polite, be friendly, and 99% of the time, that's how they will treat you. You try and be stroppy with them, they'll be stroppy straight back at you.
Okay, then thank you so much, Helmoed Heitman, there, a military and security expert, as the soldiers will be deployed and you'll get boots on the ground as they try to make sure that all South Africans and those who are in the country and within the borders of the country adhere to the rules and regulations that have been put in place. Let's throw over to Simpi.